Greetings from the Department of English SF, Holy Cross College and Cape Comorin Trust. And a very good morning to all the participants. I cordially invite Dr. Manoj Kumar Yadav from the Department of Humanities and Social Science, NIT Hamirpur, Himachal Pradesh, to take over the session. Sir, the session is over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Anusha. And may I know, do we have all participants here, like presenters only, right?
Yes, so we have three presenters. One is yet to arrive.
Okay, fine. So Amol, Rajakumar, and Uma Maheshwari, and Aravind, right? So these are the presenters, four presenters, I guess.
Yes, sir, four presenters.
All right. So with this, if all of you are connected and find myself audible, then I would like to invite Amol with for the presentation. So what we are going to do is that once we'll take up one by one all the presenters, and because we are assigned 1 hour, so I guess we can give 10 minutes for presentation. Okay, so we'll be finishing in 40 minutes, and then remaining time we can use for discussions or questions if there are any. Okay, so try to wind up your presentations in 10 to 15 minutes, okay, so that we can have some time for discussions. Okay, so with this I invite Amol to share the screen and take over for the presentation.
Thank you, sir. I guess I'm enough audible to all the participants.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Should I start my camera, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you please tell me, sir, if I'm on the screen or what?
No, we can't see you on the screen.
Okay. It seems there is a problem with the camera. Is it possible if I present without camera?
That's fine, but if you are sharing some screen, like if you are trying to show some content,
yes, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir. I do have that PDF of the paper.
Okay.
Let me share it, sir.
Share it, please.
Thank you. Is it visible, sir?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Let me introduce first. I'm Amol Vijay Bhamre. I'm a research scholar from Solapur University, Solapur. And my research paper topic is the impact of culture of fear on the emotional well-being of women and children in Khaled Hosseini's 1,000 Splendid Suns. So, I'll read the abstract so that everyone would have a fair, idea of what is to be presented. The abstract is like this. In Khaled Hosseini's novel, The 1,000 Splendid Suns, the cultural climate of fear and oppression has a profound impact on the emotional well-being of women and children. The concept, the culture of fear, or the climate of fear, is coined by Hungarian-Canadian sociologist Frank Furedi. Through a close reading of the text, this paper examines the ways in which the marginalization and oppression of these groups is expressed in their depressed moods and emotions. The analysis reveals the complex interplay of social, cultural, and psychological factors in Afghanistan that contribute to the emotional suffering of women and children in a culture of fear, with special reference to the plight of Hosseinian characters in the novel. This study offers insight into the experiences of marginalized individuals and the psychological effects of cultural oppression, providing valuable information for those researching on the similar lines of the marginalization of women and children under the culture of fear in literature. So, the basic idea behind this research paper is to merge this concept, culture of fear, with the oppression and marginalization of women and children. So I have picked uh, a setting or the novelist who has written on Afghanistan. Okay, so 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 that there is ample evidence of culture of fear in that sense. Though we can see this phenomenon in every culture in the contemporary societies, but the most visible form of this phenomenon can be seen in Afghanistan, because it is a war-torn country for the last 40 to 50 years. So I picked up that the particular novel of the particular author to highlight the issues which are rarely mentioned in the arena of literature. So, uh, Manu sir, could I just summarize the main points or what? I mean,
Yes, yes, that will be fine because no,
yeah,
you'll be
that's
covering it faster, and then we'll have some time.
yeah,
No? Yes,
yeah.
please
I
go
thought
ahead.
there is no point in reading the paper again,
Right.
right? That's why. Thank you, sir. So the paper is mainly divided in three, four points. First, I have introduced the concept, culture of fear. Um, as I uh, as I uh, told you on that this concept has not been there in literature or even in criticism, but it's well known in sociology. So I have introduced in the beginning of the paper what culture of fear is, giving main highlights of the concept. So I started from the basic definition of a word fear in the this point, and then the most valuable contributor of this or the person who coined this word, this phrase, culture of fear, uh, is Frank Furedi, who is a well-known sociologist in sociology. So, but um, there seems to be dearth of literature regarding this the interrelation the relation between this concept from sociology to the literature. So I tried to merge those two concepts and see what conclusions I could derive. Okay, so there are two main contributors. First is Frank Furedi, who uh, coined this phrase and went on exploring the various ramifications of this concept throughout his um, throughout his books. So, and there is another contributor who is Barry Glassner, who is an American sociologist. He tried to uh, explore this phenomenon in American society. So he has also written some books, good books. One of them, which I have referred for this paper, is Culture of Fear, Risk-Taking and the Morality of Low Expectation. So after introducing the concept culture of fear, I went on to the next point, that is Khaled Hosseini, who is not much discussed novelist in India. There is very little literature, critical literature available on this novelist, and this happens to be my research topic for PhD also. This novelist, I'm studying this novelist. Okay, so in this point, I have introduced the novelist in two paragraphs with four of his books, with his debut novel, The Kite Runner, and then A Thousand Splendid Suns, which I have analyzed for this paper. There is third novel, And the Mountains Echoed, and recently he had, not recently actually, 2-3 years back, he had written an illustrated novel called Seafarer. Okay, so in this novel, A Thousand Splendid Suns, there are two characters, Miriam and Laila, who struggle for their survival and freedom in a society, in a culture which has been going through war, uh, terrible violence, and it is coupled with the religious and social oppression of women. The novel tries to uh, elaborate the life of Miriam from childhood to adulthood. So we can see how she was brought from her childhood uh, under a culture of fear to her adulthood. So there is a fairly, we can see how she acts in the novel. Excuse me. So we have, we have been studying many critical theories like feminism, and we discuss in the dominating theme there is male-dominated society in that way. But when we talk about culture of fear, um, there are there is a different kind of thing in our mind. It is not just fear; it is uh, cultured fear, quote unquote, cultured fear. So when we say this, there is, there are people who have been living constantly under some kind of fear. It is not necessarily physical violence, but there can be mental violence also. So at broad level, we can see this concept evolved in literature, in this in this novel. Okay, so in the next point, I discussed the novel in particular, which which is a kind of representation of culture of fear, and thereby the um, uh, the necessary outcome of that is marginalization. Then there are marginalization of women also and children also. So in this point, I try to sketch the lives of two characters, main characters, Miriam and Laila, and how they behave in their own ways, but under the same atmosphere of fear. After that, I try to find out its impact of culture of fear and marginalization on women and children, especially their emotional well-being. So when we say emotional well-being, uh, we go in the we enter in the area of psychology. So I had to uh, analyze those two characters from these psychological point of view. I have done this in this point.
Amol, you're almost done with your time.
Okay.
So you have roughly 2 minutes to wind up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you. So I'll directly jump to the conclusion of this paper to this point. Okay. So let me read this, please. Overall, the research paper has highlighted the importance of understanding the complex interplay between culture of fear, marginalization, and oppression in shaping the emotional well-being of women and children in Afghan society. It is clear that addressing these issues and promoting greater equality, justice, and stability in Afghan society is essential for, I'm sorry, improving the emotional well-being of women and children, and for building a more peaceful and prosperous future for all. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. I'm done with my presentation. Thank you. Thank you for providing me the opportunity. Manu, sir, we can't hear your voice.
Already. Sorry. So any questions from the audience? All right. So Amol, I have one quick observation to make. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
while discussing this concept of fear, it's nice that you bring in the concept of fear as discussed as introduced by one famous critic. But I was just wondering, maybe you can bring in some studies from the socio-political context of Afghanistan to substantiate your narrative. Okay,
I see.
so
Okay.
that is one observation, kind of suggestion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your paper reads very fine. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
well done on your presentation. And now I call
Thank you.
upon the next presenter. Could be Navina. Navina, are you there? Are you a presenter?
No, sir, not Navina, Aravind Raja, Kavita, and Sharmin Ovia Jagat.
Okay, can you repeat these names, Anusha, once?
Aravind Raja,
Okay, Arvind and
Kavita,
Savita. Okay,
Kavita.
okay, Kavita. Okay,
Next, and the final one, Sharmin Ovia Jagat. Sharmin
Ovia, Ovia. Okay,
Ovia Jagat.
okay. So, do we have Arvind here?
Yes, sir. Good morning. I'm here, sir.
Yes. So, Arvind, you can take over the screen and
Okay, sir.
share the screen, your presentation, and go ahead. Um,
Okay.
okay.
So hope my screen is visible and I am audible.
Yes, yes, you're audible. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
So, the title of my research paper is The Impact of Content Familiarity on Reading Comprehension. So, this is an experimental study. This paper, to introduce myself, I'm a research scholar, Arvind Raja, working in the Department of English, MS University, under the supervision of Professor Prabhakar. The introduction of this research paper, the study examines how familiarity with the subject matter affects one's reading comprehension. So, we have always been known that to assess a second language learner in his critical ability, we always use the instrumental tool reading comprehension. Studies have also proven that, and even in TOEFL and IELTS exam, reading comprehension takes a major portion in order to get certified in those exams. And even in Indian context, to write any competitive exams, be it UPSC, be it banking sector, be it railway or any other competitive examination. To test a candidate's skill in a second language, particularly in English, reading comprehension is used. So this paper focuses on how one's familiarity with the passage given in the reading comprehension impacts his comprehension ability. So this paper is modeled upon the theory of psycholinguistic model of reading. Psycholinguistic model of reading suggests that apart from the micro and macro reading skills involved to determine the meaning from the text, it also requires some background knowledge about the content. So according to psycholinguistics, it suggests that reading is not just like that skimming, scanning, eye contact, and everything like that. It involves your brain, and we have always been told that reading as well as listening is always considered a passive skill compared with speaking and writing. But psycholinguistics suggests that the brain's function or the brain's attention is equal to all the four skills, all the L's or W. So reading should always be compared with other three skills, other two active skills, as well as listening. So coming to the review of literature, there have already been studies published in this field. Johnson has already conducted a study on 72 ESL students from 23 different nationalities. He gave a text on Halloween. The content speaks on Halloween festival, and he finds that students from the nations who are aware of the festival Halloween perform better than students who are not aware of the festival. Similarly, Salmani Nadoshan in the year 2003, they also conduct a study among the Iranian students. They give two texts. One is the text about electronic content with electronic students, and a text which is in general. And the finding shows that electronic students fare better in the electronic content text. So with this review of literature, I have listed my research questions. So this research focuses on three questions. Does content familiarity affect the reading comprehension skills of Indian second language learners? Second question is, can subject-specific text in second language classes help students understand the subject better? And the third research question is, can subject-specific text, that is the familiar text, help students retain information better than text from other languages? The hypothesis of the study is developed. There are two hypotheses. The content familiar text do not impact Indian ESL learners' reading comprehension scores, whereas the alternative hypothesis is content familiar text significantly impacts Indian learners' comprehension scores. So this study employs a post-test only simple experimental control group design. So the participants are sampled from a population. They are divided into a control group as well as an experimental group. The dependent variable for the study is their comprehension test results, and the independent variable for the study is their content familiarity. The participants are chosen from Indian student population who are studying English as a second language. The total participants of this study is 30. They are studying in the first year of BSc Physics as an undergraduate degree program from MS University Tirunelveli. They are equally and randomly divided into two groups. The experimental group, that is the group which is exposed to familiar passage, is given the text Orange Rats, which talks about the colonization of rats in solar system, which consists of rich vocabulary pertaining to physics discipline. And the control group is given the general text, the Peppermint Angel, which talks about an angel which is opening a toy. It is a kind of general text compared to Orange Rats. So both the groups, both experimental group as well as the control group, they read the text for the same amount of time. And after reading, they are given 6 multiple choice questions in order to test their factual as well as inferential understanding, which is almost similar to how a reading comprehension passage tests. And this is the formal properties of the text. Both the texts have almost an equal number of words, almost an equal number of sentences. And the Gunning Fogg Index also rates the text to be of an almost equal rate. Flesch Kincaid and Flesch reading is also equates this text as an equal one. Coming to the formal properties. And after collection of data, the data is analyzed using PSPP, statistical software, and it finds that students' performance in the familiar text, that is, the physics students who attempted the text on Orange Rats performed way better than the students who attempted the Peppermint Angel. So the findings shows, and even the significance is also statistically proven. An independent sample t-test was run using SPSS, and it proves that 95% of confidence interval. And the findings suggest that Indian ESL learners' comprehension of passages in a foreign language. That is, a learner, in order to comprehend a passage given in reading comprehension, this familiarity with the content plays a major role. So, a physics student's comprehension of a text which is related to physics gives a way better comprehension than other texts. And it also discovers that learners who are familiar with any sections do better when understanding passages written in a foreign language. So the results suggest that if students are given, even if students are assessed in reading comprehension, their familiarity with the content should also play a major role. We should always consider his familiarity with the content before giving a text to comprehend to or to assess his critical ability in language skills. So these are the findings of my study, and these are the references of my study. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvind. Thank you especially for keeping to the time limit. Okay, and no, finishing well within your designated time. Now, to the audience, if you have any questions to Arvind, please go ahead. No one? All right, Arvind, I'll one simple inquiry. What was the data size that you referred to for your study?
Sir, my sample set consists of 30 participants, 30.
30 participants. All right. So fine, we'll come back to you, Arvind, if time allows, because right now it's 10:30 and we have two more presenters. So we'll see. So going ahead, I would like to invite Kavita. Uh, Kavita, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So Kavita, you can take over the screen and start with your presentation.
Shall I start with oral, sir? Shall I read my paper without without the screen? Shall I present paper?
Fine. Maybe you can turn on your camera, and so
Okay.
that yes.
Okay. Without camera, sir, it is much camera. Turn off the camera is much, sir.
No, it's okay. Fine. Whatever.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much, sir. So good morning to all. I am from RM Kavita, Department of English, Jamal Mohammed College from Trichy. So my theme is globalization, and my title is Exposition of Global Conference in Amita Ghosh, the River of Smoke. And one of the most well-known contemporary Indian writer of English is Amita Ghosh. The epic themes of travel, diaspora, memory, history, communal violence, love, and loss are all explored in Amita Ghosh novels. And River of Smoke is one of the second Abyss trilogy. The first trilogy is Sea of Poppies, and second trilogy is River of Smoke, and third one is Flood of Fire. And mine one is this paper is deals with the second trilogy, River of Smoke. Is about three central characters in Canton. In September 1838, three ships are caught in uncontrolled storms of Andaman Sea. And how did these characters, fortune of those overseas, and the Anahita, an opium carrier leading towards Canton, a criminal from Canton named Afat, and the Red Truth, an expectation to collect rare plants from Ibis and China, escape from the ship with some Lascars. So Lascars are those who've been supposed to be called as a endangered labor also. Some victims, we can call it. And Amita Ghosh has been the most success in evacuately capturing the lives of those who have been influenced by globalization without using the phrase literally. Then Ghosh has written ambitious novel that give meaning to our globalized world without setting out to just that. And in this fiction, Ghosh honored the individual survival instinct, cheering their ability to adapt and change oneself. And he is the only author. He uses the combination of Indian, French, English, and Chinese to make it look more international. And also he used multicultural to depict a society that is still going through the stag of formation. when describing the history, the cultural of a global in trade and language here plays a fine part in the development of this novel and tale. In Fankai Town, which has a lovely mingling of several languages, and this study illustrates how different culture interact to create a multicultural community known as community. In River of Smoke, globalization and cosmopolitanism are exposed through trade, travel, and movement to various locations throughout the world for trading or bonded labor, like conflict between the Manchu Empire and the British Empire. The Chinese emperor is attempting to outlaw the import of drugs. The Western nations that profit from trade are resisting in the same of free trade. This situation is still relevant today. Material profit still incites to one fight 150 years later. And this paper developed the connection across the border by illustrating travel and movement, and globalization is therefore the main focus of this paper. The ibis safely landed in Mauritius with a modest number of passengers, as that I was stated in this paper. Then a later narrative concentrate on the state of opium trade in 1839 to 1842, a year before the first opium was produced, and it is situated in the Chinese town called Fankai Tour, where traders from nation travel to Canton, establishing a multicultural civilization where various people coexist and maintain their own culture while also assimilating a new culture. One of the chief effects of colonialization has been used in this novel, with rich character from various cultural and geographical backgrounds, and its common concern being trade with China in 1838, the September of storm struck off the Indian Ocean and Ibis. Carrying a container ship convicts, but Neil, the form the Maharaja will appear with renewed vigor. He became Munshi of Bahram in this volume. And secondary things, this novel, that means this paper, deals with that botany, namely the search for camellias. The French orphan polity set out on this search with a British plant hunter and gardener, but due to the stricter restriction on a foreigner during the turbulent time, and Robin Chimnery, a strange childhood acquaintance of polity, is assigned the duty. And this plot offers conceptual inversion of the opium trade in one way. The another plot line is that outsider trying to take something out of China, each endeavor now clearly demonstrates a profit purpose, a trait shared by many people in the trilogy, and strong representation of modern, globalized, and commercialized. And just I want to say that what I have given this paper conclusion is that theme globalization is that this paper include identity crisis, migration, traveling, and globalization, and goes acknowledges the conquering attitude exploiting Indian by enlisting them in the opium planting industry and handcuffing them, and thematic elements, setting, language, background information, character development, technique of narration, storyline, dialogue, and the flow of the narrative all come together in this paper to illustrate the opium trade and opium wars period. Another part device involves historical figure, their protracted, occasionally tense conversation depict the actual events of that time. Such debate and discourse led the reader into shadowy corner of history and help them comprehend the globalization of populace during this time, which the narrator has established in this novel. Thank you, sirs. I would like to thank you for providing such a wonderful platform to present my paper.
All right. Thank you, Kavita, for your presentation. some people have text in the message box that they are not able to listen to the presentation, uh, complaining about the audio quality. But to me, it appears to be fine. So I
Okay,
don't
sir.
know others, but to me, it is perfectly audible. So maybe Brahma and Rajesh, maybe you can try to increase your volume in your computer or mobile. Okay. Now coming to Kavita's presentation, it is open for questions from the audience. Anybody, if you want to ask any questions. No one? All right. So I have one quick observation to make, Kavita.
Yes, sir.
This see, this is an important study that you are making, especially keeping in view that the existing literature, especially on river of smoke, is quite thin. So
Yes,
you
sir.
are contributing, to a field which requires some attention. But while doing so, I think the themes that you bring in, like globalization, multiculturalism, identity crisis, memory, I think all these are important themes. But to me, in your presentation, what appears is that uh, there is a lack of some critical distance. You seem
Okay.
to be mesmerized by the author's approach. Okay,
Yes, sir.
it's fine, but when you are engaging with a work critically,
Yes,
when
sir.
you are analyzing, you are writing an article on it, I
Yes, sir.
think it is very important to make a distinction between what you are saying, what the author is saying, and what the critics have said. Okay, so
Yes.
making this triangular distinction will, I think, enrich your article. So if you can try to do this, I think you can enrich your article further. Okay.
Okay, sir. I will.
This
I
is
will go for. Thank you for your suggestion, sir. Thank you.
yes. So this is one small observation.
Okay, sir.
Now, going ahead, I would like to invite Olivia. Am I pronouncing the name correctly?
Yeah, obvious, sir.
Oh, yes.
Uh, okay.
So, Ovia, you have roughly 15 minutes and then some time for discussion. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So, Anusha, I think this is the last presentation in this session.
Yes, sir. This is the last one.
All right. Ovia, are you there?
Sir, is my screen visible? Like my PPT?
Not yet. Not to me, at least.
Oh, oh, one second, sir. I'm just having a
Maybe
problem
you
with the.
can disconnect sharing part and
Oh,
then you can try
oh,
sharing again.
oh, okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I don't know why it's not getting shared or something, but uh, Sir, if possible, can I read it? Because I don't know why it's like it says it's unable to share. Uh,
Uh, so are you trying to share through right tab? I guess the
yes.
right tab is present
Yes, sir.
now.
The present now option, and it is saying it is telling failing to present
Okay.
whenever I'm
So,
trying to share.
fine. Do one thing. Maybe you can read out no,
Oh,
the
oh,
title of your paper and
oh,
then
okay, sir.
go ahead with the reading part. No, maybe you
Okay,
can
sir.
turn on your camera.
Oh, okay, sir. Sure, sir. Okay. Am I visible, sir? Am I visible, sir? Uh, 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 can I start the presentation, sir?
Yes, please start.
Oh, thank you. So, good morning, one and all. Sorry for the inconvenience. I'm Sherman Ovia Jagat, research scholar in B.S. Abdul Rahman Crescent Institute of Technology. My research topic, my research topic of my paper is Women in Cinema Now and Then. Um, to begin with, cinema is a more social genre that controls and modulates one's preferences from sartorial to honeymoon destination. Now, cinema and society, when we talk about the relationship between the cinema and the society, they coexist on the basis of give and take policy. That is, cinema reflects by learning from the society, and the society learns from cinema. Now, since the society learns from cinema, the filmmakers they must be very careful in what they create because that leaves a very big impact or a huge impact in the society. So we must be very careful of that, especially the filmmakers. Now, the aim of my research paper is to expose the coexistence between the society and the cinema with particular reference to the position of women in Indian cinema from then to now. When I talk about then, it is like between 1960s and now is the current age. Now, this identification or this culling out of the characteristics will help to identify the changing ethos of Indian culture from then to now. Now, the first concept that we are going to discuss is good women versus the bad women. Actually, I made two posters. One is the Padepa and one is other one is Kabali. Now, the movie Padepa is taken in the year 1999 and Kabali is in the recent times, that is in 2019. Now, the movies then, they portrayed the educated women as someone is arrogant, whose poetic justice will be their fatal flaw because they were like educated women. They come in modern attire and they will assert their sexuality. That is the women's sexuality. They will speak out their opinions. They will voice out maybe like a louder head. So they were portrayed as someone. Who is evil, who is like a villainous lady, and at the end, they will suffer a fatal flaw. Now, the example of this type of movie is Padepa and Rosapura Vikkakari, which came in 1979. But the movies now, they are breaking this binary of good women and the bad women by making good women by making and women asserting and educate their sexuality or asserting their needs are not that bad. It is not like evil women or something like that. It is their basic needs. So the movies now presenting the portrayal of women is like that. Example is Great Indian Kitchen and Sarah. Now, this second thing that we are going to discuss is women as plot device. One theory that is coined by the American writer Kelly Sue DeConnick is sexy lamppost test. Now, if we put the Indian cinemas into this test, like most of the Indian cinemas, they follow falls into this category because this theory asserts that in most of the Indian movies, even without the presence of a female lead, the story would go on without interpretation. Sorry, interruption. For example, actress Nayanthara's position in Bigil, because even without the character Nayanthara in the movie plot would go on. It was just merely for an attractive purpose or for a commercial purpose, because Nayanthara is a famous actress and that would hit the box office. So only for that reason. But now the movies coming now, or like there are like movies which counted this narrative too, even now. The other example of the Nayantara's movie is Imeka Nodigal in 2018. We have the character Nayantara as a female lead. Without Nayantara, the plot will move on. So there is like some changing things which is happening with the Indian cinema. So the next concept is women in refrigerator. Now this concept is introduced by Gail Simon. Now the women in refrigerator is typically an innocent female character who is significant to the male protagonist in some way, and she is injured, abused, or indoctrinated or killed solely to have an effect on him. Now these villains play with this character, like they blackmail the hero with this woman character because she's believed to be easily disposed of, or in fact her terrible demise is required as a plot device to motivate and guide a male protagonist. For example, the movie Vettayadu Vilayadu in 2006, that was the movie then, and now we have the movie called Polmagal Vandala Penguin, which does not follow into this category. There we have females as lead roles. They are presenting, they are the fighters alone themselves, and women is not abused or subjected into this women in refrigerated concepts in these movies. Now, the next topic or the next important concept is manic pixie dream girl. Now, this term is coined by Nathan Robin. He is a film critic. Now, a manic pixie dream girl is a female character whose main purpose in life is to be a part of the story in order to make the male protagonist realize that he has a larger aim to attain. Now, she is merely a plot device for the development of the protagonist character. Like she will transform the male character, and it is like a charming, bubbly girl type of thing. For example, we have Geet in Jab We Met, or in Santosh Subramaniam, we have the character Jerilia, Hasini. I mean, the character's name is Hasini. So we have characters like this. So concludingly, the journey of Indian cinema is a positive journey, and it started from women having no parts in movie to having a whole movie centering upon women. Now, the position of women in Indian cinema is in a better place now comparing to then. Now we have movies which falls into the patriarchal concepts, because still the Indian society slathers in patriarchy. But comparing to the movies then, we have a better empowerment of women characters, because the society's ethos are also changing. So the main point is, by tracing down the position of women in cinemas throughout the ages, we will be able to track down the changing ethos, how women empowerment has traveled in these ages. So that is my paper all about. Thank you.
All right. Anybody? Any questions to Ovia? Anyone? Any minor observations also? No? Small inquiries also, right? Fine. So it doesn't have to be, well framed a question only. All right. So Ovia, looks like others in the audience are not interested to ask questions, but a wonderful presentation. Okay. There are things that you are raising, and they are relevant, and I think they'll contribute to our existing understanding of representation of women in cinema. I have a few suggestions, though, not solid questions, but some suggestions. I was just wondering, maybe in the title, because you are, I think, focusing more on one particular cinema industry, maybe Tamil, because you are talking about Kavali and other films, right? So maybe you are focusing on Tamil cinema. So maybe putting that term in the title helps you to focus on one particular cinema space, and even for the audience, it brings more clarity. Okay, so that is one observation. Uh, Again, I like the part where you are bringing in categories like good women, bad women, women as flawed device, and women in refrigerator. So wonderful concepts that you are bringing from other film industries. Uh, I was just curious to think on some other lines. Maybe there is a concept of narrative prosthesis, okay, which is used in disability studies, okay, and there is a critic called Sharon Snyder, I think. Okay, so if you know search about this concept, narrative prosthesis, you'll find it on Google Scholar. Okay, so actually that is used in disability studies to showcase how in the narrative scheme of a novel or a film, how disabled people are used to highlight a central character or a protagonist's good qualities. Okay, so let's say a hero helping a disabled person on the road is used as a prosthesis to showcase how good the person is. Okay, so maybe you can relate this concept to your study also, how people helping out women also sometimes it is used, at least not now, at least in the cinema of 60s, 70s, or even up to 80s, it was used. So maybe you can bring in that context also. Also, two more suggestions. I'm maybe giving giving you many suggestions, but these are maybe some preliminary observations. So maybe you can consider. One is, I think, of course, in title it reads well, then and now. But maybe if you see 1960s and 2022, there is a phase of transition also, like 80s and 90s. Okay, so while 1960 can be early stages of beginning, maybe you can put in another phase of transition. Okay, so which is like 80s and 90s, and then come to 2022 or this. So maybe that kind of categorization will give you some other space to focus on. So yes, and one more thing, maybe because you are discussing about Indian cinema, okay, and that too Tamil cinema, which is very important. Maybe you can relate it to some other industries within India also. Maybe Telugu industry and Hindi cinema. Okay, so that will enrich your study. So it will not stand in isolation. Okay, so it will be like very focused Indian context. Okay, so these are some suggestions, and I hope you revise your article and publish it in some good journal. Okay, so with that, this is it from my side. Uh,
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable insights and suggestions. Thank you very much.
so this is it, Anusha. I think we are done.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sparing your valuable time with us. And we are really grateful for your valuable suggestions and your insights. And it's really a fruitful session. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you for being a part of this webinar.
Thank you, Anusha. Thank you, everyone, for joining and for being here.